Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. And well, the NFL regular season is winding down, and I want to talk a little MVP and quarterback situation. They're a little bit similar, but also different. Quarterback situation, I think it's interesting with the Steelers. And going into the Bengals game, I want to talk about some clarity that we're kind of missing, honestly. And as far as the NFL, it's an interesting debate. Who would you put atop the MVP ballot if you had one? I don't, but I'll give you who I think is going to be there and some ins and outs to the debate that I think are pretty interesting. But first, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates. If you're injured in an accident, you're probably wondering what's next. For over 40 years, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped injury victims answer that question. Whether it's gathering evidence, collecting medical records, or dealing with the insurance companies, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped over 75,000 people handle what's next. Call 1-800-94-EDGAR or visit edgarsnyder.com for a free consultation. And remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. So, all right, I'm not going to bury the lead on the NFL MVP discussion. I'd vote for Josh Allen if I had a vote. And here's why. I think this award, the spirit of the thing anyway, should be about the most irreplaceable player on the best team. And I think Josh Allen has been that. If you look at the Bills, their offense, losing Stephon Diggs, there were a lot of questions surrounding them at the beginning of the season. Even right now, I think Josh Allen has some pretty good compliments. It's not like they're, totally bereft of talent. But if you remove Josh Allen from that offense, and not a slight to Mitch Trubisky, but Mitch Trubisky is not producing the same sort of numbers that Josh Allen is producing. And if you look historically in the NFL, not many people have done what Josh Allen has done. So to put some of that into context, and warning, there's going to be some numbers flying your way, but they're impressive numbers nonetheless. Buffalo is averaging more points per game this season than they did last season, almost significantly so. 31.8 this year, more yards per play, 6.1, a better red zone touchdown percentage, 70.8, and also fewer giveaways than last year, only 8. Allen has accounted for 41 total touchdowns. That's 40 passing and rushing plus 1 receiving, 37-31 in terms of yards, 28 touchdowns, a 101.4 rating. Anyway, that's a whole smattering of numbers to say that Josh Allen has played really well and has done things that we really haven't seen much throughout NFL history. One of the stats that jumped off the page to me, Cam Newton is the only player, and Allen could theoretically run for 10 touchdowns, pass for 30 touchdowns. But the only other player to throw for at least 30 and run for at least 10 was Cam Newton. That's pretty good. That was a remarkable season, dual threat quarterbackness. But it comes down to, for me, the most irreplaceable player on the most successful team, which is why it wouldn't be Joe Burrow. As dynamic as Burrow has been, I can't do that. I can't put a player there where his team, again, the Bengals could get into the playoffs. Maybe that changes the discussion. I don't think they will. I think they need too many things to happen. So I'm sort of operating on the assumption that they do not get there. And I can't do that with Burrow. As great as he's been, 4,641 passing yards tops in the NFL. Same for touchdown passes, 42. Needs 360 yards against the Steelers to become the 10th player in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards in a season. You can't say enough good things about Joe Burrow. And it kind of stinks that he's going to get dinged here because the Bengals defense isn't good enough. But it's a reality. You have to win. My argument is you're so valuable. So valuable to what? A team that's not winning games? That's not going to work. Lamar Jackson. I have a tough time saying no to Lamar Jackson here, but at the same time, I think you have to look at maybe voter fatigue. What irreplaceable, that word carries a lot of weight for me. I mean, they still have Derrick Henry in Baltimore. So I don't know, but I look at some of Lamar Jackson's numbers and I'm also pretty darn impressed. Best passer rating in the league, 121.6, has thrown for nearly 4,000 yards, 39 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, had a real chance to run for 1,000 yards, has 852 right now. But I mean, if you watch these games, few can do what Lamar Jackson has done. He's been so impressive passing from the pocket this year too. But most irreplaceable player on the best team. The biggest hang-up for me, honestly, is not a quarterback. It's Saquon Barkley. And it would have been a different discussion if Barkley was playing this weekend. But with him resting, he's not going to break Eric Dickerson's all-time record. That being said, still rushed for over 2,000 yards, 2,005 to be exact. An NFL high 345 carries, 13 touchdowns, 5.8 average per carry. It's the 9th 2,000-yard rushing season in NFL history. Honestly, the question I ask with this stuff is, if not now for a running back, when? When? Because Saquon Barkley has been as good as anybody's been over the last little while. He's been as valuable to anybody as any player on any team has been. But it's just been a quarterback-driven league. And I guess you'll probably see Barkley win like Offensive Player of the Year or something. But I sort of get it. Because, again, if we operate under the most irreplaceable player for the best team, it's Josh Allen. How about this for Saquon Barkley, though? Has 2,283 scrimmage yards. Number 2, Derrick Henry with 1,953. 330 fewer scrimmage yards for Derrick Henry than the number 1 guy. Such an impressive season for Saquon Barkley. Honestly, I think Barkley would be my number 2 underneath Josh Allen. But it's a very competitive race and very interesting discussion with all of those. And it'd be interesting to hear who you guys think would be the NFL MVP. All right, I want to talk a little Steelers quarterbacks, but first have a message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Are you ready for an escape from the everyday? The Bradenton area on Florida's west coast is welcoming visitors. Our world-famous beaches are being restored to their pristine states. Beloved island businesses are bouncing back faster than expected, and our signature Floridian cuisine is just as fresh as ever. Don't wait. Start planning your visit today at BradentonsGolfIslands.com. All right, let's talk a little quarterbacks. About a month ago with the Steelers, we weren't going to have this debate, right? Russell Wilson threw for 414 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals, 3 touchdowns, well on the Steelers' way to finding their guy, right? He was going to be the man. They were going to sign him to a Baker Mayfield level extension, 3 years, $100 million, something like that. Well, a lot has changed, right? A lot has changed in this discussion. And let me pull up some of the notes here. But the calculus has changed with the quarterback situation. And I think it's an interesting discussion. Do you stick with Russ? Do you go with Justin Fields? Or do you do door letter C, whatever? Come on, Jason. Hey, it's the end of the week. No, but at this point, I would look at Russell Wilson over the final 2 games. Maybe it's more than that. If it's more than that, I think your answer is very easy, but they're guaranteed 2 games. And you say, this is what we wanted. We wanted this guy to come in here and take this job, to keep this job, to perform well enough. Over the last 4, though, I can understand having some doubts. If we look at the first 7 of Russ's time here, 6-1, involving everybody, spreading the ball around, I mean, that's exactly what you want. I have no problem paying that. But over the past 4, I don't know. So we'll see where the water sort of finds its level. I think it's interesting, though, because the million-dollar question in all of this, right, is that we don't know Russell Wilson's contract demands. And I don't think they're going to be exorbitant. I don't think Russ is going to be expecting to make $40 million a year. I think he's fairly realistic. Sierra is not doing too bad for herself. I think the Wilsons really like it here, too. You see Russ out all the time at various hospitals. And if you're around the team, and I'm not around it as much as the beat guys, but you get a feel for what Russ is about, how teammates receive him, the voice that he has in that room, and it's substantial. And so, again, I don't expect anything to happen other than the Steelers work out a deal with Russell Wilson, because I think that's what they intended to have happen all the time. But again, in the, break glass in case of emergency scenario, if this does not go well over the final 2 games or whatever, or they can't align on something for next season, they could do worse than Justin Fields, right? I mean, Fields showed a lot of the arm talent. The athleticism is off the charts. I really like the way he handled the demotion, showed a lot of character. And if they decided to go to Fields and maybe insulate themselves with another veteran backup who could start if necessary, I wouldn't hate it. I would still prefer Russell Wilson, but I would understand the argument for going to Fields. I think where I'm out is going to door number 3 or door number C or whatever the heck I said earlier. No, but I don't want to see them do it through the draft. I don't want to see them go free agency unless Sam Darnold's available, which I can't imagine he is. And I saw it floated. This is a separate discussion, but I saw it floated earlier in the week about Aaron Rodgers. Give me a break. I'm not welcoming that. And the draft reason, I mean, I can understand saying, we're going to prioritize this sort of like they did with Kenny Pickett. Obviously, the Steelers missed there, but I want to see them address other needs in the draft. I think they have other needs at wide receiver, running back, defensive line. That should be their first 4 picks. And I'm not even enamored with Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, trying to think of some of the other guys at the top of Jalen Milroe from Alabama, some of the other guys at the top of that class. Honestly, like I wrote in my column on Friday, the path of least resistance is Russell Wilson. That he plays well, that you come to terms, and I think that's what's going to happen. But it's not a crazy debate right now as the regular season winds down about who the Steelers quarterback is in 2025. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of these videos and so much more from our Post-Gazette North Shore Drive YouTube and podcast network. We'll be back on Monday to recap a little Steelers, Bengals, and so much more here on First 10.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.